So if you've been reading the papers recently, you may have seen articles saying that Ofgem is saying from 2026, all suppliers must offer a lower standing charge tariff. Sounds like a win for consumers, but it's mostly smoke and mirrors. So what are Ofgem proposing? Well, they've changed their tone a little bit because about 6 months ago they were saying that they were going to ask all suppliers to introduce at least one tariff where there would be no standing charge whatsoever. And that was supposed to happen by the end of this year in November. Now the tone's changed a little bit. They're saying suppliers must offer one low standing charge tariff by January 2026. So a couple of months delay. What's the difference? Well, they don't really define what low standing charge is. If it's just lower than it is today, they might reduce it by 1 pence and say we're fully compliant with Ofgem's requirements. Now, standing charges are always a bone of contention. They're supposed to cover the costs of things like the wires, the maintenance, the network to bring power to your house. It also covers things like the cost of local substations, the metering, although I'm not sure why metering is so expensive these days, given that anyone with a smart meter is reporting their data directly to their supplier. We don't need armies of people to go round and read meters anymore. But it also covers things like the warm home incentives from the government, so socialised costs. And all of these together have been driving up standing charges almost continually for the last decade. Now, Ofgem admits in their proposal that these fixed costs aren't going to go away. We still need to maintain the network. We still need to have electrical engineers maintaining substations. We still need metering. We still need somebody to process all the data from the smart meters. And those socialised costs, they're not going away either. So how is this going to be paid for? If we're going to reduce standing charges, that money's still needed. That money is still got to be paid to all of the people providing these services. So the way they're going to do this is put those costs directly onto unit rates. So you're still going to pay it, you're just going to pay it in a different way. They're very clear in their statements that these tariffs would sit outside the Ofgem price cap. So pretty much all of us who are probably watching this video, we're all on smart tariffs. So we're already outside the Ofgem price cap, which means we won't benefit from this one little bit. The likelihood is each energy company will either create a brand new tariff for this, or they will take something like their standard tariff, their fixed tariffs, and that will become the tariff that has the lower standing charge applied to it. Now, Ofgem are also talking about adding eligibility thresholds, and this is why I think there will be new tariffs introduced. Ofgem make a really strange calculation. They say 666 kilowatt hours as a minimum to be on this tariff. So that means that if you are a genuine low user, and to be fair, Ofgem are saying that the reason they want to do this is they don't want people with second homes to necessarily benefit from this. So you have to have some level of usage to be able to qualify. But that's going to exclude many genuine low users from being able to access this. If you are one of those people that watches every single penny that you spend on energy, you might not come anywhere near 666 kilowatt hours a year. So therefore you will be excluded. So in short, this scheme just seems to be completely flawed. It looks like a box ticking exercise on behalf of Ofgem and the Energy Minister to say we did a thing, when the thing they did benefits almost nobody. So for those of you who are on Octopus and probably most of the other UK energy providers, you will probably have already received an email or a letter from your energy provider saying that come the 1st of October, charges are going up. And certainly here in the east of England, our smart tariff isn't changing a lot. Our night rate is still staying at 7 pence. Our day rate, which we don't use very much of, certainly in this house, is going up a little bit, a few percent. But the standing charge is going up yet again. And in fact, here in the east of England, they're putting about 2p on the standing charge, which is just insane because in the last 3 months, the costs of maintaining the wires in the ground and the transformers hasn't gone up that much. This is just blatant profiteering. So what is the standing charge supposed to cover? Well, it's broken down into a number of different parts. Firstly, there are the DNO costs, and we're going to come back to DNOs in a minute. But the DNO costs, the maintenance of the network, the crews, the people you see out in vans digging holes in the street, making sure that all of the wires are connected, that all of the old infrastructure is replaced. Those are the DNO costs. It also covers things like the smart meter rollout. So if you are upgrading to a smart meter, it's not just the meter itself. Obviously, there's the person that's got to come and install it, but there's all the back-end IT systems to be able to handle the data from that. So getting from a number on your smart meter into the network, into the database, billing it back to you, and then showing it up in your online dashboard. All of that is covered by this. Those costs also cover the bailouts when suppliers collapse. So there are lots of costs because we can't just let companies go bankrupt and just say, look, just wipe out all of their debts. No. All of that's got to be transferred to a new company and somebody's got to pay for it. And it's certainly not the new company, it's you and me. So that's part of our standing charge. We also have to pay for the administration of government schemes like the warm homes discount to make sure that those who are not able to live in warm homes because they can't afford the cost of the ridiculous energy, therefore we have to pay extra for that as well. And Ofgem's regulatory model allows the DNOs a guaranteed return on these costs. So there's no risk to the DNOs. And don't forget, the DNOs in the UK, with the exception of National Grid, are wholly owned private companies. So they can basically go to the government and say, we need more money. The government puts up the standing charge, Ofgem impose it, and we're the ones picking up the bill. So you're trying to do everything you can to get your energy costs down, yet these people are able to push your energy bills up by stacking it all onto the standing charge. And you have no control over this. Now, the whole DNO setup in the UK is just a monopoly. And not only that, it's a completely private monopoly with the exception of the people who use National Grid as their DNO. National Grid is still owned by the UK government. But certainly here in the east of England, we use a company called UK Power Networks. And that covers the east of England and most of London and the southeast. UK Power Networks is predominantly owned by Hong Kong billionaire Li Ka-shing. He owns a company, and forgive my pronunciation here, but Cheng Kong Infrastructure. If we take a look at their company accounts, in 2025, those accounts show that company paid out £248 million in dividends to its shareholders. Its shareholders being the Hong Kong billionaire that I just mentioned. If we take a look at some other companies, there are CEOs of these DNOs earning multi-million pound salaries. Now, this whole setup is just a scam because in every other industry, you get to choose who your provider is. It doesn't matter who owns the wires in the ground. A good example here is BT built out most of the infrastructure for broadband in this country. But you can choose who your broadband provider is running over the same wires in the ground. Why can't we do the same with DNOs? Why can't we say, actually, I don't want my standing charge being extricated out of the country and sent to the bank account of a Hong Kong billionaire. I want the money to stay in the UK and be invested into UK infrastructure. We don't have any choice. This is the structure that we've set up, and government and the energy companies show that they've got no interest in changing this. So again, when I dig into the shareholders' reports of companies like UK Power Network, it looks like UK DNOs are making about 30% profit here. Now, you've got to ask, for something that is infrastructure within the UK, why is anyone allowed to make profit? Why isn't this a nationally owned asset that any profits that are made go back directly into that asset? You know, if we take a look at the CEOs of these companies, they're all on multi-million pound salaries. National Grid CEO, John Pettigrew, earned £7.2 million last year. These firms argue that private capital funds upgrades for things like EVs and heat pumps and renewables. And the reality of all of this, it means these companies have a guaranteed income stream. They know that none of their customers can go anywhere else. Therefore, there is a defined customer base. They can say that defined customer base is going to pay us this much money. Therefore, we know exactly how much money we're going to get. So it's a license to print money. It's a system where monopoly profits are being exported out during a cost of living crisis. And this has got to stop. So anyway, rant over. Ofgem's tariff plans, don't hold out any hopes. This is nothing more than a box-ticking exercise. It is not genuine reform. Standing charges are going to keep going up because these companies realise they're on a licence to print money. They can attract high-paying CEOs. We can send a lot of that money out to our shareholders. Why wouldn't you continue to do that? Monopoly DNOs like UK Power Networks, consumers can't go anywhere, so they're just going to keep putting the costs up. They're going to keep squeezing until such point that people can't be squeezed anymore. Massive sums of money are flowing overseas while UK households are struggling to pay their energy bills. So what can Ofgem do about it? Well, to be honest, there is only really one answer. They need to nationalise the UK energy network. Or should I say, renationalise the UK energy network. And this was something that Labour committed to do. Remember Great British Energy? Haven't seen much from Great British Energy in the last 18 months, but they need to get on with it. This is something that can't continue. Anyway, enough of my rant for today. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments below are. Do you think that there should be these zero standing charge tariffs? Do you think that all tariffs should be zero standing charge and it should be rolled into the per unit costs? Also, let me know what you think about the scandal around the DNOs. The fact that millions of pounds are being paid to shareholders of these companies while UK households are struggling to pay their energy bills. Anyway, that's my video for today. I hope you found this interesting. I really would love to know what you think. Am I the one that's getting bent out of shape over this, or is this really the scandal that I think it is? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you found it informative. There are lots of links to articles in the description below, so if you want to read up further, you want to check what I'm saying is actually true, something you should always do. And if I'm lucky, I will see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.